Yo, what is up YouTube? Back with another video, and today I'm continuing my series of teams that I believe you should not underestimate, teams that are legit, and teams that could surprise you next season. So I've already made videos about the Tennessee Titans, Arizona Cardinals, and Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm going to make, including this one, 3 more. So I originally planned for 4 videos in a small series, but then I realized that there were 2 extra teams that I have to include on this list because I can't just leave them out. It'd be unfair. So today's video is about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Before we get into the video, I would like to add that I really appreciate all the views, the subscribers, and I'd really encourage you to subscribe, hit that bell button. I really appreciate it. Me and Mike are so grateful and thankful for all the views that we've been getting, all the subs. And let's get this channel to 1,000 subs. Let's go. So let's get into the video. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers last season were a decent team with a decent record at 7-9. But the problem with this team was their quarterback. So as many of you may know, Jameis Winston was this team's quarterback for 5 years. And Jameis Winston is one of the most inconsistent passers in the NFL. Obviously, he led the league in passing yards, and that's expected because this team had an amazing wide receiver group. But the downside to throwing so much is interceptions. I don't think Jameis Winston, the throwing and interception rate correlates. I just think that he's a very inconsistent quarterback. Obviously, Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions last year and 30 touchdowns, showing the inconsistencies, and this ultimately led to a 7-9 record. So, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fixed this problem during the offseason. They cut Jameis Winston, and they picked up free agent Tom Brady, one of the most legendary quarterbacks in NFL history. Tom Brady is 43 years old, and he has had an amazing career playing for the New England Patriots. And I'm not going to lie, I have hated the Patriots since day one of my life, and I guess you can say that I hate Tom Brady too. They're definitely my least favorite team, and he's definitely my least favorite player. But just because Tom Brady is my least favorite football player that's ever existed, doesn't mean I'm going to show bias against him. I honestly respect him for leaving New England because who would want to play for that nasty organization anyway? So, ever since Tom Brady has left the Patriots, I've respected him more and more, but I still do not like him. But just like I said, not going to show any bias against him, and he's definitely going to have another great year. So, like I said before, Tom Brady is 43. So, in NFL history, no quarterback at this age has ever performed as well as Tom Brady has. And obviously, he's a legend. So the question is Tom Brady going to perform as he has in the past? And I obviously believe this is true. He will. I'll talk about that later in the video. So I wanted to start off with this video by talking about the coaching staff. So the coaching staff is obviously a huge part for winning games. Really good coaching staff like Bill Belichick. Doesn't matter who you got, you automatically have a good team. And I will say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do have a very good coach, Bruce Arians. So Bruce Arians was the Arizona Cardinals coach for a decent while. He always had great seasons, a lot of winning records, and appeared in a Super Bowl, but lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it is no doubt that this coaching staff is going to be decent head coach-wise. I'm not sure about the offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators, but it is very imperative that the offense probably doesn't need too much help because it's stacked next season. But I cannot say the same about the defense. I'm not sure if the defensive coordinator is really good there, but I want to start off by talking about the defense. So in the last 2 seasons, 2018 to 2019 and 2019 to 2020, the Buccaneers have produced 0 Pro Bowlers, and this really does surprise me. Obviously, they had an amazing offense wide receiver group last season. I'm surprised none of them made it. But it also shows that this defense has produced 0 Pro Bowlers in the last 2 seasons. Definitely do have good players on this team, though. And my theory about this and how this defense didn't perform well last season is so easily obvious that you'll agree and everyone else will agree. It's a simple fact that when your quarterback throws on average 2 interceptions a game, the defense is always on the field and gets no help. When the quarterback throws 30 interceptions a season, you wonder why this defense gets scored on so many times. Because they're on the field longer, they get more tired, and the offense against them has greater chances of winning the game. So it's very obvious that Jameis Winston basically screws this whole team up. That's why they get rid of him. He screwed up the defense by giving them less time to prepare for the next offensive drive they're going up against. And obviously, that's not going to happen this season. Tom Brady is good. He does not throw interceptions. It is uncommon. And it'll give the defense more time to prepare, more time to play better. And it should be producing some Pro Bowlers. So let's talk about the players. So the first player I would like to acknowledge is NFL veteran Ndamukong Suh. He played a long time for the Lions, the Dolphins. He played for the Rams last season. And then he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 2019 to 2020 NFL season. So I guess you can say that this dude had an amazing season last year. I think he could have been in a Pro Bowl, but I guess you can say it wasn't that bad. So he's definitely a good player for this defense, a veteran in the NFL, and has good leadership skills. So some notable things about his performances last year is that he had 4 fumble recoveries and 2 touchdowns. So that's pretty good for a defensive player. He had 41 combined tackles, 22 solo tackles, and 19 assists. Always a great player for whichever team he is on, and he did sign with the Buccaneers once again, so they will have him in their lineup again. Another great player for this Buccaneers defense is Jason PierrePaul. So Jason PierrePaul is a Pro Bowler and NFL veteran, played for the Giants for 7 years, and then has played for the Buccaneers for the last 2 seasons. So he's not uncomfortable with the rest of the team. He's a great fit. So some notable aspects about Jason Pierre-Paul's career is that he's basically a sack monster. You look at these stats, he's had 16.5 sacks in 2011. He had 12.5 sacks in 2018 and 8.5 sacks in 2019. So a very good linebacker for this team, forcing fumbles, getting good field position, getting sacks. Always a great player for whichever team he plays with. So this team does have very good linebackers, and another really great linebacker on this team, very notable last season, was Shaquille Barrett. Shaquille Barrett did have a really great season for the Buccaneers last year. He had 58 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 1 interceptions, and most notably, 19.5 sacks. So this dude definitely has had a great season last year. I'm not sure if these stats are solo sacks or both sacks, but it's probably all the combined sacks that he had last season. Still 19.5, getting to the quarterback 19.5 times is really great. Definitely had a great season last year. And this dude is going to have another great season. The linebackers on this team are very strong, very, very heavily favored to be really great next season. So that's good for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And once again, another good linebacker on this team, Lavonte David. So he had 1 interception last season and 3 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 1 sack. So these are notably decent stats. Definitely turnover game is very important on winning, especially for this team's defense, since they're always on the field. Jameis Winston's always, turning the ball over. So this team definitely does have a very strong linebacker position. That's really all I want to talk about. But I also like to give props to the rest of the defense, including strong safety, Antoine Winfield Jr., Jordan Whitehead, Sean Murphy, Bunting, Vita Vea, Carlton Davis, and William Golston. Sorry if I pronounce any of those names wrong. I'm not good at pronouncing names. So the overall analysis of this defense is that it's not the best in the NFL. It definitely has a strong linebacker core, definitely there, but the rest of it, I don't think like the corners, the safeties are the best, but this defense is good enough to force fumbles, interceptions, turnovers, and it is good enough to perform well. So we did not really see that last season. They did get heavily scored on. They did give up a lot of points to really good teams and decent amount of points to bad teams. And I honestly think it's because of Jameis Winston. Like, it's all because of him. If the defense wasn't on the field because of those turnovers, then they perform better. They have more time to perform better, make better choices, be more refreshed for the next drive that they play. All that kind of stuff is very crucial for defenses performing well. And like I said before, Tom Brady does not throw interceptions, so we will see a better overall defense for the Buccaneers next season. So the next thing that I would like to talk about is this team's schedule. So the Buccaneers are blessed with the schedule next season. One of the main things which is important is division record standings, and they were 7-9, and so were the Falcons, and they lost to the Falcons week 17, dropping them down to third place, which means they play, instead of the Cowboys, they play the Giants, which is definitely a great outcome for them because that game is in New York, I believe. And they also play the Los Angeles Rams at home in a stacked NFC West division, but they do not play the NFC West, they play the NFC North, which includes the Vikings at home and the Packers at home, which means they have the two harder teams in the NFC North at home, which is very favorable for them. And they play at the Lions and at the Bears. So if you've been under a shell, you'll notice that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers schedule is debatably one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. It's very fortunate for them. They're very lucky. Some of the more interesting games, I don't know why the NFL did this, but they did put the Saints-Buccaneers game week 1, and it is in New Orleans, so they're basically giving the Saints a win, probably, because, come on now. I don't know why the NFL did that. It's kind of stupid. But they do play it at the Denver Broncos and at the Oakland Raiders. They could easily win both of those games, which means they do play the Chiefs and the Chargers at home. And they could beat the Chiefs, so we'll see about that. So this team's schedule is decently good. Of course, they play the Saints twice. I expect them to win one of those. They play the Panthers twice, which I think is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. So probably should win those games twice. And they play the 28-3 Falcons twice, meaning they have twice a season for Tom Brady to beat Matt Ryan's Falcons, probably down by 28-3 during the game, but it doesn't matter. So easy win, easy schedule. I think this team should get 12 plus wins, and I'm thinking it's around 14-13. So very, very, very fortunate schedule, easy schedule. Possibly get that first seed in the NFC, we'll see. So as you can see, this team's defense is going to be better, and their schedule is very fortunate for them to win easy games. So this team is in a fortunate position here. But I would like to address the offense. So first of all, I want to really address their first-round pick, Tristan Wirfs, who many thought could have gone third in the NFL draft. I think to the Giants, fourth in the NFL draft to the Giants with an offensive tackle. So this is definitely a really great pickup because as we can see, the Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Matt Ryan were tied for first in most sacked QBs. And in fourth place, virtually second place, Jameis Winston was sacked 47 times compared to 48 with all those other players in first place. So this offensive line could be dangerous for Tom Brady, which is why Bruce Arians did take the decision of drafting Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle. Really great pick, really great player, and he will make this offensive line better. So Tom Brady's more protected as a QB. So why not? Let's just talk about Tom Brady. So I don't have to, explain anything. This dude is obviously, he's got his experience. He's one of the best quarterbacks ever. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I never liked Tom Brady and I never will. But since he did leave New England, I respect him more as a person. And he's definitely going to have another great season. So Tom Brady did not have the best offense last year. And it was one of his worst seasons offensively because, there were no weapons. But this year, it's already different. One of the best things about Tom Brady is he makes really great decisions. He's accurate, and he knows what he's doing. You can't deny the facts. This dude's won Super Bowls. And it's the fact that he did have Bill Belichick and himself. So this dude may be one of the smartest quarterbacks ever, and he will have a great season. But the fact that this offense is so stacked next season, you already know Tom Brady's popping off. So let's start talking about the wide receivers. So two of their wide receivers, maybe the best wide receiver duo in the NFL, obviously Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Both of these dudes had over 1,000 yards last season. So Chris Godwin had 86 receptions, 1,333 yards, and this dude had 9 touchdowns. Obviously a great season. Obviously Jameis Winston, I guess you can say he's a really good QB, but he made a lot of mistakes causing turnovers. So this offense last year was really good. It always will be. But it's just the fact that turnovers just screwed over this team, which is why they lost many games. If Jameis Winston didn't have turnover, godlike powers, then you already know this team is a very, very good Super Bowl favorite, which is why they got Tom Brady, a very accurate person. I think these passing yards could decrease. We'll see. Tom Brady's very smart, but I don't know if he might be losing his power, throwing power. We'll see. But you already know, this wide receiver group is amazing. So the other, of course, great wide receiver on this team is Mike Evans. So Mike Evans 2 seasons ago had 1,524 yards, and last season he had 1,157, 8 touchdowns in both seasons. So you already know these two players are just dynamic, make this offense great, and will have another great season, no doubt about it. And their tight end, O.J. Howard, he also had, I guess you could say wasn't the best, but it was decent. 459 yards and 1 touchdown. But we don't talk about O.J. Howard anymore because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traded for Rob Gronkowski, retired, and he signed with the Patriots. He wanted to be signed by the Buccaneers because Tom Brady's a Buccaneer. So you already know these two players together have won Super Bowls. I hate to see it, but they have. And you can't expect anything less. Come on now. Rob Gronkowski is definitely one of the best tight ends in NFL history. And this dude's a touchdown machine, reception machine. He's a bully. So you already know probably the best wide receiver duo in the NFL with one of the best tight ends ever. Come on now. The best QB in NFL history. This offense is already legit. But I guess you can say there's one hole in this offense, which is the running back position. So obviously with such a great offensive passing season last year and 2 years ago, your team doesn't really rely on a running back. But when you have a really good offense like that and a really good running back too, your team's unstoppable. It's common sense. I think we all saw this in Pittsburgh 2 years ago when they had a really great passing offense with Ben Roethlisberger, and they did have Le'Veon Bell. So that offense was basically unstoppable. But the running back position on this team isn't the best. So Ronald Jones had 172 attempts last year and had 724 yards. Average of 4 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. So it's not the best, but it's decent and it's good enough for them. But they did draft another running back. They drafted running back Keyshawn Vaughn. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm not going to, but it's whatever. So this dude was a 3rd-round draft pick from Vanderbilt, and many people think this dude is the starting running back for them next season over Ronald Jones. So we'll see. I think he probably will win over the running back position. Ronald Jones isn't the best. And this dude could be, the next Kamara, but we'll see. He'll surprise us all, and it's definitely going to make the running game better for this team. So you already know that this team is offensively talented, stacked, and one of the problems we might see next season are injuries. So I don't expect the passing game to be as good next season because Tom Brady is a beast, but he doesn't throw too much. He doesn't throw as much as Jameis Winston most likely would, but it's the fact that that's probably a good thing in my opinion because injuries were a really big problem for this wide receiver group in the last couple of years. Mike Evans has been injured a decent amount of times, and Chris Godwin was injured. And the problem here is that Rashad Perriman, their 3rd-string wide receiver, has been, I think he left the Buccaneers for the Jets, so they're relying on Scotty Miller, so that could be a problem. But I guess you can say that Rob Gronkowski potentially fills that void in, which is good. So I don't know if this video is a surprise to you, but it probably isn't. I think this team is legit. I think this team possibly should get the first seed in the NFC, even though it's a first-year team with Tom Brady. But come on now, this offense is stacked. This defense is going to be better when it's not, playing every freaking second of the game. And come on now. So the Buccaneers, my prediction, they're going to lose 2 games next season. They're going to lose to the Chiefs at home, and they're going to lose to the Saints on the road. And that's it. So this team is going to have a really great record. Do not count out the Patriots. That's all I got to say. Adios.